Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and there we go. Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm your host, Ben. And Carissa is having technical difficulties to this day. That's okay. She's going to work, and whenever she can, she's going to pop in here and say hi to all of you. But everyone, hey, welcome into today's program. Today on the show, we have, computer and technology news. Unfortunately, we were not able to get in touch with our consumer electronics expert. So instead, we're going to do a rundown of Apple and everything that they announced yesterday with their new hardware, what it means, what it could possibly mean, and what was so good about it. So everyone, sit back, relax, and enjoy as we do today's program. Now, today on the show, we will be doing all of that and more. We have multiple stories from around the web that you'll definitely enjoy. So, first things first, computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything: past shows, future shows, show notes, podcasts, articles, reviews, social media links, video archives, and more. Everyone, computeramerica.com. While you're there, be sure to check us out on social media. We thrive off of your likes and retweets and all that good stuff. So, hey, thank you for participating with Computer America, however you do. Thank you so much. With that being said, everyone, though, why don't we go ahead and try one more time. And Carissa, are you there? No, she is not. Unfortunate. Well, she's there, but let's see. So she's currently having an issue with her microphone, and hopefully this all works pretty well. So let's go ahead and just say that. Yeah, okay, we're good. So with that being said, while she works on that, we're going to go ahead and get started with computer and technology news, and we'll do a couple of stories here and there, and then we'll get to the Apple event and everything that the M1 Mac is. This was just announced yesterday, and we have let the dust settle, and we're going to go ahead and take a peek. But there's also some other stories you should hear about. Everyone, computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. So our first story that we're going to do is probably for the sake of democracy and the sake of our elections. I gotta say, this is probably a fairly good one when it comes to everything, and it has to do with the state of Facebook and Google as far as political advertising goes. If you don't recall, back at the beginning of this whole election cycle, Twitter was the first one to do it. Google followed suit, and Facebook reluctantly agreed as well to outright ban political advertising. And so that looks to be like it's going to hold true. And they are going to uphold that for, well, again, indefinitely. They say that Google plans to review the situation weekly, but that does not mean that they will reinstate it anytime soon. Now, with the fallout of the US presidential election set to rumble on for who knows how long, Facebook and Google and their bans on political advertising are still in effect. The companies previously said that their respective pauses on such ads would last for at least a week after the election, which really, if you think about it, votes have been cast. There's no more to it. There may be special elections coming up here eventually, but for now there are no more. There's no more voting to be done. So when they say they're going to ban political advertising for up to a week, that might as well be a ban on political advertising, because who wants to advertise a week after everyone has cast their ballot? Google noted it would assess the situation weekly, but again, what does that really matter? Now, 8 days after the polls closed, Google and Facebook both confirmed that their bans remain in place, and it's not clear for how much longer they will be active. And although the race has been called in favor of Joe Biden, President Donald Trump, who is yet to concede, and his allies are continuing to dispute the results. That's a whole thing of voter fraud and allegations that if you are interested in any kind of election security, we have a special segment that you can find on YouTube. If you look under our channel, under special segments, that playlist there is a recent election security that you can find. And then, of course, we air it periodically, and yeah, you can find it on our website. But safe to say that voter fraud to the degree that they are talking about is nigh impossible, but here we are. Now, misinformation has continued to spread on platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube in the aftermath of the election. It's a whole mess out there that, we're not going to get into, but just know that people do benefit when there is discord and chaos out there. So there you go. But yeah, Facebook, Google, and Twitter, I assume, are going to ban political advertising for the foreseeable future. It's probably a good thing. It's probably a very good thing. Social media has not been very... You would think that with so much information at people's fingertips that, they would be the most informed voters to date. And I got to say that there's a lot of really bad information and a lot of really bad faith arguing happening. So there you go. Now, with that being said, looks like Carissa is still working on it on her end. Let's go ahead and move on to our next story. And this one should be pretty quick, but for everyone out there who has a Ring doorbell, and by the way, we installed one recently, it's been very nice. I'm surprisingly happy with the Ring doorbell. I thought it was like a fad and whatever, but being able to keep tabs on who's at your house and what's delivered and all that kind of stuff is actually very convenient, especially from anywhere. Now, if you purchase Ring's new entry-level doorbell over the past few months, you may want to check its serial number. The Amazon-owned company has issued a recall for its second generation smart video doorbell with the model number 5U-M5E5. There you go. Its battery can overheat when incorrect screws are used for the installation, since the wrong screws can puncture the battery during the process, posing fire and burn hazards. So I'm assuming what they mean there is that, every household has one of these buckets of old screws, and, you don't want to just throw away screws that are still perfectly good, and you figure, I'll just use the screws I currently have, or maybe screws that the previous one came with, or something like that. And I would say that, like, for our doorbell, everything's pretty snug. So any kind of like errant, larger teeth on the screw, or anything, that kind of protrudes out from the screw will definitely puncture that battery that is included with the Ring doorbell. So that's a recall by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission. And again, that is a recall on video doorbells, the second generation, over the past few months. The main risk there is using improper screws during installation, which they should not have been included. I think it's like third-party screws or, screws that you had lying around and all that good stuff. So before we go any further, let me try this. Carissa, can you hear me? She definitely can, but she cannot respond. So that is the problem. Now, just real quick, the Ring Doorbell 2, it affects up to 350,000 second generation doorbells. It's quite a bit. It's quite a bit. Oh, I hear static. What's going on? So close, so close. Check. Carissa, can you hear me? Not quite. Okay, so she's going to keep working on that. Anywho, you can check your device's serial number on the company's website to see if your unit is included. Even if your doorbell is part of the recall, you don't actually have to return your device. You can check Ring's user guide and follow the revised instructions, saying that if the doorbell is installed correctly, there is no risk to consumers or potential hazard present. So, yeah, just make sure that you use the included screws and not, other things. So obviously there have been reports that the battery has been punctured, which would lead to leaking and, of course, flame, fire, burning, and minor property damage as your video doorbell goes up in smoke, literally. Ring has issued a statement since this whole thing got out, saying that the safety of our customers is paramount, and we have and continue to work closely with the Consumer Protection Bureau on this issue, and have contacted customers with the second gen doorbell. So yeah, they do not need to return their devices. So okay, there you go. If you have one of these, just make sure that you use the proper equipment. You should be good to go. Carissa, can you hear me? Okay. Well, that's story number 2. Story number 3, and for those of you who don't know, I'm saving a lot of the Apple stuff for when Carissa gets back on here. One thing that we can definitely talk about is, okay. One very fun thing is that with Tesla being Tesla, they are really bringing innovation. I think innovation is the best word. They're bringing innovation to what is seen as a very lackluster kind of market, because let's face it, cars have been around for 120 years or 100 years, something like that. It's not a very, it used to not be a very, kind of fun space to be in, especially electric cars. They were boring before Tesla. And, yeah, well, looks like now with obviously Tesla having the Model S, the Model 3, the Model X, and the Model Y. The Model Y in particular, I believe, is their SUV crossover. BMW is looking to do the same thing. And they put out this image. This is clearly rendered in CGI. It's not the actual vehicle. It's totally in concept phase, but they're promising to bring it out by 2021. And yes, you guessed it, is an all-electric crossover. So it will have level 3 autonomous driving, and that means that it will perform 100% of the driving tasks under certain conditions, but that drivers would need to stand by to take control when needed. I was just talking about this earlier with the different levels of automation. Level 0 is your Model T car. There's, the most sophisticated thing in there is the engine and the rear view mirror. That is it. Model 1 has your very basic kind of, your very basic level of computer with maybe blind spot detection, things like that. 2 is more the same, where maybe you have like auto stop and things like that. Kind of auto braking, lane assist, lane keep. It's a little bit better than just the bare minimum. Level 3 is where the computer really starts to take over. And let's say if you're, if you have cruise control on, you're on the highway, it's not raining or anything, it should keep you in your lane. It will take the correct lane if there's any kind of if there's any kind of detours or turns or anything like that. And yeah, that's level 3. Level 4 is a step beyond that, where in most situations, it will be able to take you from your front door to anywhere you need to go. And then level 5, that's the magical number. Level 5 is a complete hands-off driving experience. And that is the dream, where you never have to touch the steering wheel again. Now, with that being said, BMW again is hinting at something that could be a level 3 autonomous driving vehicle. Most cars on the road, by the way, are level 2. So just to put that into perspective, it's better than what most cars are currently doing. Now, they say it's an all-electric crossover SUV. It resembles the X5, but with a lower roofline and more aerodynamic profile. They're promising, get this, about a 300-mile range on an all-electric vehicle. And it's going to be pretty sweet. They said that their most popular cars will soon have all-electric variants. A fully electric version of the 3 Series, their most popular car in the US, has been spotted in testing camouflage. And the BMW i4 is expected to slot into the 4 Series lineup any day now. Obviously, BMW was seen as ahead of the curve when it came to electrification, but the company efforts have stalled out, and, well, BMW is looking for a solid follow-up to the i3 EV, or the expensive yet head-turning i8 hybrid. If you're wondering why all this is coming out, it's because, California? California is one place. Let's see, California 2030 vehicle cars, or electric cars. I think California is looking to ban new gas-powered cars for sale in the States by 2035. That's what it was. 2035. So, yeah, if you want to stay competitive in California, which is a huge market, and then, of course, the EU, I think, said something like 2050, most diesel and other gas cars should be gone, if not, only small levels of hybrid. Many of the largest car markets in the world are pushing for an all-electric offering. So every company is obviously starting to veer towards that. The days of the internal combustion engine they're coming to an end. They're numbered, and electric vehicles seem to be the way of the future. So this time through legislation, which is very important. So with that being said, and okay, let's see, our 5-minute check. Carissa, can you hear me? Okay, no response. That's perfectly fine. So anyways, the BMW launching in a crossover SUV with 300 miles of range, all electric. Very, very nice. Happy to see it. Okay, so there's that one, and let's touch on this one again real quick because I love Halo. Halo was like my first real shooter, and I have great memories of the Xbox 360, and through connections thanks to the show. I got to say that I know for a fact I was one of the first ones to connect to the Halo 2 servers, like ever. I was able to get it, kind of like an advanced copy, connect, and they had like the little map down there in the bottom left where it showed all the little points of light where the users are, and kind of on the multiplayer home screen. And yeah, I was the only little dot twinkling right there. It was a lot of fun to see. But anywho, with that being said, Halo, because I have an affinity for it, looks like the TV show might be back on. If you don't know, Spielberg was supposed to direct a Halo TV series in conjunction with Microsoft, and I think they were going to air it on, it was like Showtime or something like that. Well, looks like they're back to it. Halo TV show brings back the original Cortana actress. Jen Taylor replaces Natasha McElhone. Here we go. So sometime Showtime, and yeah, I was right. Showtime's Halo TV show is bringing back the original actress for Cortana. There you go. The series' iconic AI. IGN reports that Natasha McKellen, the actress originally cast to play both Cortana and her creator, Dr. Catherine Halsey, is unable to finish her work as the AI due to the pandemic. Longtime Cortana actress Jen Taylor will instead take the role, which she had voiced in the first video game released in 2001. 20 years later, still reprising the same role. Showtime announced a Halo TV series back in 2018. It stars Pablo Schreiber, Bokeem Woodbine, Olive Gray, David Sapani, though it's unclear what shape the show story will take. McKellen is still set to play Halsey in the series. Taylor has voiced the role of both Cortana and Halsey in the series, as well as Microsoft's digital assistant Cortana. There you go. And I think what they mean by that is that the actual Cortana that is baked into every operating system out there. So, production on the show was halted due to the pandemic, but it resumed this week. Check it out. And they even have a nice little tweet here showing the gentleman who will be playing Master Chief. And yeah, he even has a little bit of the costume on the lower part of the helmet that kind of wraps around. And man, I wish they sold that as kind of like a mask for the for the pandemic, because that thing just looks so slick. Yeah, they're back to making Halo. They're on set. They're shooting it. I'm hoping it's going to be super good. If The Witcher has proven anything, like I think that the Halo series would have never continued if the Witcher series hadn't have done so well on Netflix. So thank you, The Witcher. They might be the reason that we get a Halo series. So okay. There's that one. Let's go ahead and continue on here. And I wanted to talk about, okay, we'll do one more and then we'll jump into the Apple stuff. But this affects us because, hey, of course you can find the video portion of the show on twitch.tv/Computer America. And because we do stream on Twitch, we like to kind of talk about current events on Twitch as well. And one of those, if you have not checked out the streaming service, one of the big issues over the past 2, 3, 4 weeks lately has been this massive influx of DMCA claims. And, I read the email that they put out. It's not that it's simple, but it's a very complex issue. And at the same time, it's just kind of goes to show how new technologies have to, kind of force traditional media to adapt. And one of these is with the Digital Millennial Copyright Act, DMCA. So for those of you who don't know, Twitch and this whole streaming service, although real quick, I just heard some static. Carissa, can you hear me? So close. Anywho, so Twitch has been receiving a lot of DMCA claims lately. They said that until May of this year, so January, February, March, April, May, until May of this year, Twitch streamers received fewer than 50 Digital Millennium Copyright Act claims in total each year. So to put that into perspective, I think there's 1 million people watching Twitch, monthly Twitch users. There's tens of thousands of people streaming every single day on Twitch. And, it's so think about that. There's, hundreds of thousands of hours of video being produced every single day, or at least live streamed on Twitch every single day. And up until May, they got 50 a year. Run the numbers. Let's see, 365 times, let's say 100,000. And you're looking at, kind of 3.65 million, or no, 36.5 million hours of content stream, where about 99% of those had music playing in the background, because you play your game, you have music going on in the background. Yeah, you create a cozy little atmosphere. Now, 50 claims on hundreds of millions of hours of video. Suddenly they're filing thousands of claims each week, largely focused on short excerpts of song clips in embedded in the video. And many of the clips are several years old. This caused a bit of a panic within the Twitch community because people who have been streaming on the service for, 5, 6, 7 years, and of course had clips going back as far and archives going back as far, they were sent this email that was pretty cryptic, and they were like, you have been found in violation of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. If you don't take action with this, with your content, we're going to delete your account and, kind of deplatform you, and, you lose the way that you make money. We're going to delete your account within 3 days. Fix it. And again, when you think about it, if you have 7 years, you stream 5 or 6 days a week, you're looking at hundreds of clips, thousands of clips going back year after year after year. And all it takes is like one 15-second clip of like Justin Bieber's Baby, something like that, playing softly in the background as you do something completely different. It is impossible to fully, I guess, kind of capture the extent to which this was affecting clips. So what happened? Given 3 days, and again, it was either delete everything, like hit the nuke, hit the panic button, delete everything, or lose your account. And they did that. Almost every streamer on Twitch deleted their past videos because of the fact that almost everyone plays music in the background. It was very standard procedure. Now, with thousands a week, and within the email itself, Twitch even said that they do not expect this to abate anytime soon. 50 a year to thousands a week, and it's only going to get worse and worse and worse. They did not give any kind of like special tools, even though they said that they wish that they had worked on that. They did not give their streamers any kind of special tools to tackle this, such as, just muting those sections of their video or whatever. They only had one, which is delete everything. So that was the only option they had. That's the option they took. Years upon years of content was deleted. Is that the biggest tragedy in the world? No, because hardly anyone went back there and watched those. But isn't that the ironic thing? Is that these videos that are getting probably zero views and have been up for years suddenly could lead to the cancellation or deletion of your account. It was very ham-fistedly done. It was not nuanced. There was a lot of issues, and I think they still have a lot of work to do. Some streamers have suggested that their archives are still subject to claims if their clips and VODs remain on Twitch's server. And that was another finding someone found, was that you can delete everything off of your account. Most of the content is still stored on Twitch's servers. And even if you do your due diligence, if you delete everything, you hit the panic button, everything is gone. If Twitch doesn't delete those corresponding clips from their servers, those, the software that the DMCA is running to catch these clips, it can still flag these accounts. And it can lead to that, kind of banning of people for, not deleting their clips, even though they did, but Twitch did not. There is layer upon layer of stupidity with all this. But there's, it's, so here's where the conversation part of it all comes in, is that, there has to be another way. There has to be another way that Twitch streamers, they do not sit there and play copyrighted music and make money from doing so. But at the same time, using non-DMCA, using music that no one has ever heard of, and it's still just kind of bad, clearly copyrighted music was benefiting these people's streams. It made it more enjoyable. Hearing songs that in the background and that you recognize is much more preferable than anomalous, randomly generated music in the background. So, with all of that being said, where's the middle ground? Because they aren't strictly like a radio station. They aren't strictly earning money from playing music. But at the same time, they clearly do derive some value from playing copyrighted music on their channel. They can't afford, no one can afford, $50,000 a year music licensing fee. And even if you did, you would still have to go through every single one of these claims against your channel and say, oh, by the way, I do have the rights. I do have the rights. I do have the rights. Makes it very, very difficult for people to do what they do. And in this case, I would say even copyrighted music in general, completely unusable. Now, there's also a special segment of Twitch streaming called IRL, in real life. And this is where, people go out in public. Yeah, people actually go outside. Used to be a bigger thing before the pandemic, but still. Anyways, they would go out there, and let's say people were walking by a restaurant that would have obviously their own license for a small business. They'd be able to play the music, or they play the music at the restaurant. If the streamers walked by the restaurant and accidentally caught the music with their microphones and their cameras, that portion of the stream would be muted, and if not, it could be subject to DMCA for that whole mess. You really start to see just how the, kind of what the model of music doesn't really fit Twitch. And, it's what exists before does not work now. So what is the answer? That seems to be the conversation that Twitch is having with themselves as well. So just real quick before we go any further, Carissa, can you hear me? No response yet again. Okay, still working on that. Take your time, Carissa. We got this. So, with that being said, in its post, Twitch pledged to be more transparent about the DMCA issues. The service says it needs to help streamers deal with the tidal wave of claims by providing more educational programs and content management tools. Twitch said it could have built a better tools for streamers to manage their content libraries a while ago and apologized for not doing so. The company offered more and better options as soon as possible. Until then, they have to manually remove content that might contain unauthorized music or mass delete all of their clips. So it also apologized for only giving streamers 3 days to change their music habits. And yeah, I think that Twitch... Yeah, even though they're owned by Amazon, and you think they have their own lawyers, and you think that they are completely infallible, or, you could think the opposite of that, they are, there's just some random person at Twitch that has to deal with these, which, one person can deal with 50 a year, and then suddenly they're hit with thousands a day going on for day after day after day, and they just went full red alert, and they just had everyone start deleting everything. So they said Twitch said streamers should only play songs from the Soundtrack by Twitch tool or other cleared libraries, including Soundstripe, Monstercat Gold, Chillhop, Epidemic Sounds, and NCS. It also suggested streamers check end user license agreement in case video games with recorded music prohibit streaming in any way. Meanwhile, artists who perform their own music on Twitch are in the clear, because obviously the actual copyrighted music is one thing, covers are allowed. And I think that's something that a lot of Twitch streamers don't really know, is that, they're so cautious about losing their income. And of course, their platform and their audience and all that kind of thing, they'll even kind of cut themselves off from singing because they think, oh no, I'm going to get DMCA'd because I sang the chorus to this random song. And no, that is not how DMCA works. They don't just randomly copyright strike you. If I decided to the best of my abilities, sing the entirety of, who has great lawyers, the Frozen soundtrack, Let It Go, I would never be hit with a DMCA. First of all, hardly distinguishable as kind of music or song at that point, but also because it's just not applicable. So, Carissa, can you hear me? So close. So if you hear popping in the background, that's Carissa still working furiously, and yeah, she's trying her best. Don't worry about it. Now, obviously, looking forward, Twitch pledges to expand its use of tech that detects copyrighted audio. It plans to give streamers more control over what audio from the stream remains on the clips and VODs as well. The soundtrack tool, for instance, lets players record music on their streams without it showing up in the VODs. Twitch also said it needs to give streamers a clear way to review the VODs and clips that are supposedly infringing copyright. It has long been suggested that the audio and the video portion of Twitch and, kind of what people output from their computer, including like the gameplay, their microphone, the game sounds, all that kind of thing, be on one track, and then the music be played simultaneously but on a separate track, so that they could potentially mute, delete, remove that overlaying music part, but still keep the part that they are themselves creating. So who knows? Carissa, can you hear me? Yeah. So when I swap the mic and Zoom, it registers for a split second and then nothing. You may have to restart Zoom. So yeah, I would highly recommend that you do that. So go ahead and do that. We'll hold it down here. And yeah, she's going to go do that. So waiting for Carissa to get back to us. Now, I think now we should just go ahead and get into the Apple stuff. I've been putting it off while Chris has been working on this, but it may just be time. Okay, last story and then the Apple stuff. Moscow. Their facial recognition system can be hijacked for about $200. Strange. The dangers of building a real-time surveillance system for local police, saying that a digital rights activist in Moscow was able to purchase access to the city's extensive facial recognition system for only 16,000 rubles. And if you don't know what that is, $200. There you go. You're welcome. As reported by the Thomson Reuters Foundation, after seeing ads for the service on Telegram, they transferred the money along with a picture of herself to a seller. 2 days later, she received an extensive report of her movements over the previous month, apparently pulled directly from the police system. Spanning more than 100,000 cameras, Moscow's facial recognition system is meant to be restricted to law enforcement. It's unclear how the seller was able to secure access, whether through bribery or digital intrusion. 2 officers were placed under investigation in the wake of the incident, but they have filed a lawsuit aimed at pausing the program until clear procedures are set. As the activist sees it, the system poses a clear and real danger to public as long as it's available. Any crazy guy can stalk you using this. Criminals can check when and where you go and steal from your apartment or hurt you. Anything can happen. Oh, it's crazy. Moscow police rolled out facial recognition in January, and while the system is one of the most extensive city-level efforts, it's far from the only one. As we mentioned, there are hundreds of other networks and stores throughout the world, including here in the United States, Rite Aid has used facial recognition across a network of hundreds of stores for more than 8 years. I remember covering that story. It was kind of surprising, but they were using their security camera footage within their stores that they claimed were part of like a higher crime rate area, and they were building their own facial recognition database of people who were potentially, kind of ne'er-do-wells and kind of bad people. And I don't think it actually did much, but it was, boy, did it look racist there for a little bit. So a number of U.S. cities have banned facial recognition by public agencies in response to those concerns, including San Francisco, Boston, and most recently, Portland, Maine. And I think there was even one state on the ballot that completely banned it within the state altogether. It's hard to imagine that the technology goes away completely because, let's face it, that technology is available. It's only going to get better. Right now, it's very rudimentary. It's very crappy. The amount of false positives is surprisingly high. I think like the one in London is like 98% chance to be wrong, which maybe some person just sitting there going, I guess that's him, could probably do a better job than what these facial recognition systems are doing. But yeah, they're trying their best, and I don't see this technology going away completely. It needs to be controlled with legislation and strict legislation. So, okay, there's that story. Let's go ahead and continue on here. And now we're just going to go ahead and jump into, yep, you guessed it, Apple. Yeah, let's see. Oh wait, I have something for this. Yeah. Our next segment is Apple. Wait. There you go. Yeah. Okay. Calm down. Now, Apple's new M1. Well, the M1 was really the big thing that they showed off, and yeah, it's very, very cool. So we're pulling this from Engadget. They have a nice little write-up, and we're going to go piece by piece through it. You can see it there on the video portion, and we're gonna have a link to it in the show notes. But yeah, Apple and their One More Thing event was all about gadgets larger than an iPhone 12 Pro Max, powered by a piece of technology smaller than an iPhone 12 mini. The CEO of the company, Tim Cook, unveiled Apple's M1 chip and a lineup of devices that will use it, including the new Mac Mini, MacBook Air, and the MacBook Pro. For those of you who are out of the loop, the M1 is the alternative processor to the Intel line of chips that they have been using for years and years and years. Apple famously deviated from the iPhone, from the iPhone line of chips. They started making their own hardware, and they have been doing that for like the past 4 or 5 years. And now they're looking to do that for their non-mobile devices. Their laptops. So they said it's a proprietary chip that will be powering the next line of Macs. M1 is a 5 nanometer. Think about that. We have been giving AMD all the kudos in the world for getting a 7 nanometer process down. Intel still famously frustrated with the 14 nanometer, and Apple is rolling out the 5 nanometer out of nowhere. Very impressive. With 16 billion transistors, a 16-core neural engine to power machine learning capabilities, support for Thunderbolt 4. They keep trying to make Thunderbolt the thing. I can't tell you. But anyways, Thunderbolt 4 and an 8-core GPU and CPU. Very cool. In terms of processing power, the M1 has 4 high-performance cores and 4 high-efficiency cores that consume 1/10 of the energy reserved for lightweight tasks. Meanwhile, the 8-core GPU is the most advanced integrated graphics processor Apple has ever created, and it uses a fraction of the power of leading PC chips. My immediate reaction to this, when they say the most advanced and the most energy efficient integrated graphics card or graphics chipset, is integrated in my head just means crap. I guess. So it can be the most powerful, it can be the most efficient, but at the end of the day, it's still going to be not a discrete GPU like a graphics card, and it's still just going to be not very good, especially for something like a laptop. But I digress. They said that the M1 has a starring role in the new Mac Mini, MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and it powers a number of special features in the macOS Big Sur update, which arrives for all Mac users on Thursday, so tomorrow. This is what everyone was kind of banking on with Apple. They were banking on the fact that when Apple designs their own chips, the M1, they're going to be able to squeeze every little bit of performance out of it for their own hardware. They're going to be able to do things that are uniquely designed by Apple for Apple. And, when it doesn't have to really be compatible with anything else, it can be super hyper specialized in what it does, which you can see here for the operating system. Certain features will be native to this processor chip. Now, thanks in a large part to the M1, Apple says that the new MacBook Air is 98% faster than PC laptops sold in the previous year and 9 times faster than the most recent Air. They say that, the most recent Air, by the way, doesn't even have a fan. It is that efficient. There should be no heating problems. Nothing getting too hot. They don't even need fans. So, again, Apple's thing. They keep taking parts away, and I never thought it would be the actual fan, but here we are. They're going to radiate the heat away using the specially designed case. It's also a faster wake-up time in an upgraded Retina display and the longest battery life of its predecessor. Apple says the battery can handle 18 hours of HD video playback, 6 more hours than the existing model. The 2020 MacBook Air costs about $1,000 and starts shipping November 17th. Notably, the prices for the model with a 7-core GPU, to get a version that takes full advantage of the M1, that'll cost about $1,300. I did see a lot of people complaining about the price point of the Apple processors and Apple computers. They are not coming cheap. They're going to be expensive. But hey, that's kind of what you expect from Apple. Now, the 13-inch MacBook Pro, sorry about that, is 2.8 times faster than the existing model, and an even 3 times faster than the best-selling comparable Windows laptop, according to Apple. It supports up to 18 hours of wireless web browsing and 20 hours of video playback. And this one does have a fan, although they completely redesigned that one as well. The M1 chip also enables machine learning power up to 11 times faster than the existing Pro. Machine learning for like every individual computer and that kind of thing, I have a hard time imagining why everything needs to be machine learning capable. For particular graphics cards in different situations, like, NVIDIA and their whole Titan line have been uniquely positioned for the artificial intelligence machine learning field. People, and by people I mean like entire institutions, buy thousands upon thousands of those graphics cards, set up supercomputers, and then run these processes that are optimized for these chipsets. When Apple says that this laptop is capable of doing it better than any other laptop out there, I'm failing to see why that's a good thing or why that's an exciting thing. Because, hey, most of the artificial intelligence learning that should be happening with the services themselves. Let's say Apple's Siri should be doing that on Apple servers, not on every single MacBook Air sold. It's just weird. Now, the Pro starts at $1,300 for a model with 256 gigs of storage and 8 gigs of RAM. And so for $200 more, you get another 256 gigs of solid state drive storage. For those of you who have not priced these things out lately, let's go ahead and now, obviously, I don't want to fall too far into the memes, but you're looking at, let's say, a 2.5-inch, 240 gigabytes SATA 3 internal SSD. You're looking at about $30. There are M.2s that can run you, about $80 or something like that. And then, of course, about $30 for an SSD, and then you have about $80 to $100 when it comes to, 8200 for M.2, which is much more efficient. Apple designs all their own memory. It is much more stable. It is much more, it is, there are a lot more redundancies so that nothing gets lost or destroyed. It's much more stable, so it won't crash unlike other memory, even though like the failure rate of, let's see, what is the failure rate? Let's see, failure rate of Apple storage. Go and let's see. So, okay. So actually this information is even pretty low. But anyways, it's a lot of it is designed to be reliable. And they do it very well. Other companies have failure rates of like 1%, 0.5%, 3% in some cases. It's, it changes time and time again. I would say that very few hard drives ever achieve that like near perfect 0% score. But anyways, Apple has all that. So it's a good hard drive. I don't think it's $200 for 256 gig good hard drive or storage space. But I digress. They say that it's available for order November 17th, and Apple is also selling versions of the MacBook Pro and Mac Mini with the existing Intel chip rather than the M1. This is likely a move to assuage enterprise customers who may be concerned with app compatibility. And then the last thing that they announced was the Mac Mini. The Mac Mini was it was already getting the M1 boost. The Mac Mini is back and getting an M1 boost. The tiny desktop starts at $700 and is 60% more efficient and 3 times faster than the 2018 iteration. They say that it has a 6-fold increase in graphics performance and a 15 times increase in machine learning capability. And same thing there, 256 gigs of storage or 512 for an additional $200 at about $900. Apple will do Apple things. Apple will charge a premium for what they do. They are making more and more of it themselves. Apple does make it to a higher standard than just your ordinary, everyday, kind of off-the-shelf brand. But even so, you are paying a premium even beyond that because it is Apple. Overall, the M1 performance boost that we've seen through this lineup, we've already seen a number of performance increases from Apple within their smartphone devices. And, what they've been doing has been mirrored in a lot of other smartphones. So the gap isn't as wide. The problem is when they throw out all these numbers, they're, it's like 3 times more efficient, 16 times more graphics power, this and that, and numbers and big numbers and times, and it's great. They do that in a laboratory setting, perfect conditions, tests that are set up to perfectly emulate the ideal PCU load scenario in 16 core operations, and everything's just as ideal as possible. That's not a real world situation, and that is not third party independently verified. I would wait to purchase any of these before you I would just wait to purchase them, because real world scenarios might perform much differently than what Apple has been promising. And don't get me wrong, if even a fraction of what they're promising is true, if it's twice as fast instead of 3 times as fast, or the graphics is 10 times better instead of 15 times better, those are amazing performance increases, and the industry needs to is going to be shaken up a little bit. The price is still high. You're paying a premium for being an early adopter, but it shows what Apple has been working on. They've been working towards this goal for years and years and years, to be able to build their own hardware and build their own, everything. And it's impressive. It's impressive. I'm waiting for the benchmarks, but I am very happy with what Apple has debuted. Now, the other article, it's kind of a bit of a follow-up. Apple's new M1. Here we go. Apple's new M1 Max. Everything we were just talking about does not work with external GPUs. So the external GPUs, Apple has been selling these kits. This and by the way, it looks like Chris is having problems, so she probably won't be able to join us during the show either. So darn, we tried our best. Anywho, Apple, their new M1 Max won't work with external GPUs. They've been selling these cases that, let's say you're a video editor or a video processor, and what is built into the MacBook Pro or the Mac Mini or whatever, it's not enough horsepower to do what you need. They've been selling these kits that you buy your $1,000 graphics card, slot them into this thing, and using Thunderbolt, they're able to offload a lot of that processing power into the external GPU. And thanks to Thunderbolt, they have the bandwidth to send the information, the data back and forth fast enough that you don't have to somehow squeeze let's just say an NVIDIA 3090 into your, which in a lot of cases is actually much thicker than these laptops, but you can still utilize it and you can still take advantage of these graphic cards. Now, here's the problem. They say that it's had an impressive performance for the new machine, for new machines, and promise excellent battery life. However, that won't come without any compromises. One of them was that external GPUs that connect via Thunderbolt, none of them are compatible. That's according to Apple Insider. It has confirmed none of the machines support eGPUs. Only some people would require add-on oomph in any case, but Apple's support for external graphics cards gave it some extra gaming cachet, and informed creative professionals their needs would continue to be met. I think by that they mean that you can go with the non-M1 versions of the Apple products, and those would support external GPUs. So there's also been some focus on the fact that the 13-inch MacBook Pro M1 models only include 2 USB-C ports on board instead of 4, but whether or not you think that's enough ports, it's consistent with the cheaper Intel models it replaces. There you go. A more striking limitation is the one that we've already noted, is that the MBP, the MacBook Pro, is limited to 16 gigs of RAM. And if you think you'll need 32, then you have to opt in for an Intel powered model. Clearly Apple has been hitting a bit of a lower need for technical hardware. Yeah, it's for business professionals, for people who just need a MacBook Pro and watch video and browse the web, check their email. I would say a typical person who uses their computer for shopping and, not video game, not video editing, not productivity, just strictly work, browse, shop, done. These are set up very nicely for you. But for everyone else, it seems like they had to make a couple concessions, and don't get me wrong, in the future, their R&D team is going to figure it out. If not, then they're going to have a solution that they can work on, but to get something out the door and compatible, hey, these were the compromises they had to make. And this should only affect a small portion of the people who were originally interested in this line of computers and processors. So it's not the worst thing I've ever heard in the world. It's not the worst thing. So okay, everyone, that was Apple's One More Thing event. That should be just about everything, and we're about out of time. One more thing is, if you're watching the video portion, you can see a nice little diagram or graphic that we can show you right here. This is the MacBook Air and MacBook Pro and the fan that they use. And yeah, this is an exclusive fan that they are using that, this is very cool and hopefully very cooling. They said that Apple's new laptops seem nearly identical. If you look beyond the curved frames, they've got the same M1 processor, the same memory and storage options, very similar screens. The biggest difference is the fan, where the MacBook Pro has this model. Now, they said that, it's a thicker laptop with the Pro, but you shouldn't knock that fan because it's a little known fact that that today's CPUs, they can almost all run faster if they have better cooling. So the boost that they could get is totally through thermal control, thermal dissipation, and these fans make all the difference. And here is the example of the Mac Mini dealing with the same thing. So everyone, Mac did not destroy the PC market as we know it, but they showed something different, and I applaud Apple for doing that. That's very important. So everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to Computer America. I want to just say I apologize for Kristen not being able to join us, but she should be back here bright and early tomorrow, everyone, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. Hey, we'll catch you next time. Bye, everyone.